اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. My dear respected brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You guys are a bit asleep. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. And to please the heart of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, another salawat please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And as a gift towards Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, thalithan bi a'la aswatikum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, 15 minutes I'm going to try to cover a topic as best as I can. I can talk about this topic for quite a while. So, inshallah, the aim is 15 minutes. If not, someone scream, not too loud, and I'll stop, alright? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, basically, the topic that I want to discuss is about tabligh. Tabligh is pretty much the propagation of our religion. How can we, as youth, as mu'mineen, in Perth, spread Islam, and not only Islam, Islam of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And why is it important? And what is it? And what am I doing by doing tabligh? So there's several aspects I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to try covering it as fast as possible, inshallah. So basically, imagine this scenario. The whole world right now is thirsty. The whole world is thirsty, and there's one water well. This water well, only a certain group of people have been given the directions towards this water well. And everyone else is walking thirsty. They're tired. They're unknowing what's going to happen to them. But then there's a group of people that look refreshed and healthy. And they don't look thirsty at all. Are you not then curious to go and ask them, how are you not thirsty like the rest of us? Right? Naturally, we'll go towards them. If I'm very, very, very thirsty, my throat is dry and everything, I'll go to that person, where can I get some water? Right? Tabligh, in a sense, is Islam, and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is that water well. Is that pool of Kawthar. Is that thirst that they only can quench. And the rest of the world is thirsty for the truth. Because the truth, everyone is looking for it. And the truth is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to us everything was through His messengers. And then finally through the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Was protected by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They are the pathway to that thirst quenching truth. And that's what everyone is looking out to get. Now, how can we in Perth, and if people are watching anywhere else, how can we begin to make a bigger impact? It first begins with yourself. If you want to make a change, begin with yourself first. That's the most important thing. If I'm lost, I can't lead. If I'm lost myself, I can't give directions. You know, we have quite a bad habit amongst the Iraqi community. It's like, whatever you tell them, it's like, yeah, I know. It's like anything. Electrician, yeah, I know what to do. It's just, a bunch of cables put together. And then you go plumbing, yeah, it's just a pipe, I know. We have this I know attitude, when they don't know anything. Yeah, at the end it's like he breaks the pipe, or a blackout happens, and then he has to, and he's just like, man, what did I do to myself? Yeah, I'm just generalizing over here. But what I'm trying to say is you need to admit when you don't know something. Half of knowledge, as Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is attributed to have said, is saying, I don't know. And there's no issue in that. There's beauty in it. Why? When you acknowledge that you do not know something, it means that you can build on it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me find out. Now begin to search. First, begin to work on yourself. How the most beautiful thing that you can use to discipline yourself is your salah. And look at the effect that it has personally, and then it has an effect as well as on a community scale. When you begin to focus on your salah, when you begin to show respect in your salah, remember we've talked about salah many times before, but the first thing that you have to do is you have to show respect in your salah. And that is by coming to the salah, you begin and you try your best to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You try to just show respect in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You look at the turba, for example, then you go on ruku', you look between your feet, then you go into sujood, you look in this region, then you go into tashahhud, you look between your knees. There's moments and the placement of the eye, there's certain areas where you have to show respect by keeping your eyes there. You don't fidget, you don't move around, you don't... All these stuff is what? You're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're showing respect. Notice how, if you begin to do these actions of showing respect in your salah, naturally you'll begin to show respect to everything around you. I'm not just saying to mankind, I'm literally saying to everything around you. You'll respect the pavement that you're walking on. You'll respect the earth that surrounds you. You'll begin to appreciate things around you. Why? Because you're showing respect to the Creator. You're showing respect to the Almighty. You begin naturally to show respect in everyday life. There is a story about a young man who was known to be a really cheeky fella during the companions of the Prophet's time. He was up to a lot of no good. Suddenly, the companions, they see him praying. They go, Ya Rasulullah, he's finally praying. Go give him a talk. Go tell him, since he's praying, now it's a good time to advise him. Give him something to say. Tell him something. He says, no. Since he's praying, let him be. Just let him be. Come to me sometime later and then update me on this young man. Sometime later comes like, Ya Rasulullah, he's completely changed. He's like, that's his salah. His salah has completely changed him. And that's what salah does. But look at the beauty of it. You change. Salah teaches you discipline. And how does that, how can I spread Islam through my salah? I'm just praying by myself. How is that spreading Islam? There are many people that have come to the path of Islam as a result of watching people pray around the Kaaba. They see that a rich man prays next to a poor man. A black man prays right next to a white man. They see that all different types of people are praying together in one direction and they're all united. Putting their head down to the ground. A Christian man, a Christian preacher, went towards Africa. He went towards, from memory, Sudan. He was going there to preach Christianity. He goes in, he witnesses people praying together. And he says, I was astonished with what I saw. I saw a group of people praying together, the businessman, the poor man, the slave, all that stuff, praying together. Because of that action, I wanted to look further into Islam. As a result of him looking further into Islam, he became a Muslim. He went to preach Christianity through the actions of the people just doing what they were obliged to do. He became a Muslim. Now, this is someone that's going overseas. I'll give you an example, something over here. I know one of the mu'mineen, one of the brothers was sharing with me. We're just having a chat about salah. And we're just talking about how salah creates discipline. And then he said, you know what, one thing happened to him at work. At work, he has a habit, salah time, he goes and he prays. And one of his colleagues says, you Muslims are very disciplined, it's really beautiful to see. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, every time, it's around 12:30, around that time, I see you just get up, you go, and I was curious, I saw you praying and then come back. Every time I see you doing this, it's so disciplined, it's so nice to see. Do you know there's people that join the military just so they can learn discipline? As in, they go to the military just so they can learn discipline. Just how they should wake up in the morning, they should do this and this and this and certain drills and all that stuff, just so they can have discipline. Islam is giving it to you. Waking up in the Fajr, it's tough. Salat al-Subh, it's tough. But you push yourself, you get stronger. Eventually you become a very disciplined person. Whenever Salah comes, you stop. Do you know what type of movement you're creating by doing that? Massive movement. I'll give you an example, a personal example. In school, not in school, at university, I used to leave as soon as prayer time. I go, before I started my units, I go to the lecturer or to the tutor, depending on what falls onto that block. I'm like, excuse me, just to let you know, I'm a Muslim. Salah, I have to pray. Prayer time falls onto this time, and that's halfway through the lecture. So I'm just going to let you know from now that I'm going to leave, and after a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, I'll come back. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. She's like, oh, thank you so much for telling me. No problem. And I just continued. I just did that. There was a time, my teacher, she noticed that I wasn't shy about being a Muslim. If there was music in the classroom, I walked out. They were teaching us that you should play music in the classroom and all that. I walked out. And one of my colleagues, I don't know what you call it, one of the students with me, he was like, Latif, why are you walking out? He was a nice Christian young man. He was like, why are you walking out every time? I was like, music is haram in Islam, and I don't want to be in a room where there's music. So I decided to walk out. He's like, why don't you tell the lecturer? I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? I talked to her. I told her, look, have you noticed every time you put the music, I walk out? She's like, yeah, I did notice. I was like, in my religion, this type of music is forbidden. And I don't want to be in an area where that type of music is. She's like, I'm so sorry, this is something I did not know at all. I'm like, no, I understand, nothing to apologize for. I know you didn't know, I thought to bring it up with you. She decided that no longer she will be playing music in the classroom. And she did not at all. And she said, I'll be more cautious that if I see Muslims in my classroom, not to do that as well. It's nothing. It's all doing what? Being strong in my faith. You're a Muslim, be proud of that. Salah time, I'd walk out. The teacher noticed that music, salah, what's happening? This guy's a bit different, he keeps moving around. He doesn't sit. I'm just messing around. But she noticed that I wasn't afraid of being a Muslim, and I was very proud of saying I'm a Muslim. She told me to give a talk in front of the class, and they're all teachers, future teachers. She told me to give a talk about Islam towards them. And I was able to introduce Islam to a group of future teachers, all of them now that have graduated with me. Telling them that there are certain relationships that are not allowed in Islam. Telling them the opinion of Muslims and homosexuality. I wasn't afraid of that. Telling them about Muslims and music. Telling them about touching the opposite gender and how we need to be cautious of that. Telling them all about this stuff. Mentioned it out to them, and they asked a whole bunch of questions, and alhamdulillah, it was an opportunity what? Just to spread the teachings of Islam. I say this not to bring any attention to myself, as Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam used to say. I say this because if I can do this, and I'm nothing, you can do much more. Honestly, you can do much more. One thing that really tears my heart apart is every time I walk into a shop that's owned by a Muslim, and I see the music cracked up to the loudest thing, a barber shop, all the barber shops. How many barber shops do we know and they're Muslim owners? And how many of them decide to play something that's halal? A Muslim, if he is a businessman or a businesswoman, they are the position of Habibullah, loved by Allah. Imagine you're loved by God, and in the shop that you're loved by God, what happens? You play music disrespecting God. Imagine that. Now imagine us as a collective. Every time we go to get a haircut, for example, a group of us always get haircuts. You guys are always looking fresh nonetheless. When you get a haircut, imagine you say, man, why are you playing the music? We made it aware. We weren't afraid of that. Why are you playing the music? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, imagine Imam Mahdi walks in right now. How would you feel? With all honesty. Imagine Imam Mahdi decides he wants to just sit and see you. And you're having music in the background. How would you feel? If we just decide to do that, collectively, we can make a change. Do you know why it's so important? I'm not saying, I told one of the guys, actually, you want me to crack Basim al-Karbala'i and he's screaming and Latum and all that. I'm like, look, man, I'd love that, first of all. Go for it. But I'm not saying go like that. I'm saying you can put a dua. You can put anything. The people that are sitting in your barbershop, first of all, they don't really understand what's been playing. They're zoned out on their mobile phones and there's something in the background. Why are you trying to please them so much by disrespecting God, the one that gives you the rizq? Why? Second of all, you have a higher chance of playing an Arabic song rather than you playing a dua. Do you know the impact of a dua? One lady in America, one of the scholars narrates, he says, one lady in America heard dua al-sabah. She listened to dua al-sabah, an American woman. She listened to dua al-sabah. She goes into the Islamic center in America, I think it was in Michigan somewhere, and she says, what is this thing that I just heard? The words are something else. He's like, no, that's dua al-sabah. can I have a copy? She gets a copy. She says, I want to become a Muslim. How do I become a Muslim? Through what? Through dua as-sabah. The words of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imagine as a collective, all the Muslim shops decide to play things that are attractive to the soul. We're all made of what? Our body is made of 3/4 of water. There was research that was made where they saw if you say good things towards water, the crystal formation, when you look at the crystal formation under a microscope, begins to take the most beautiful shapes. Whereas if you say bad things towards water, disgusting things towards water, it begins to take a disfigured shape. The crystallization looks completely disgusting. That's why when you say something nice to someone, they begin to feel good. When someone says something bad towards you, you begin to feel down and weak because the water in your body is becoming disformed. Whereas when something as beautiful as the Quran is being played, you don't need to understand it, you naturally feel it. It's the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what it does. My time is up, but I'm going to take 5 minutes more. Sorry, 5 minutes more, because I just want to share one more thing. How can we now make an impact? This was a whole huge introduction in a sense. We'll continue it next week, inshallah. If we want to truly make an impact on an individual basis, you're not going to be heard. Individually, we cannot really achieve that much. But collectively, we can achieve a grand scale of things. A grand scale of things. One story, one of the Maraja advised a group of mu'min before they came to Perth. He said, look, I'm allowing you to go to Perth. But once you go to Perth, he says, how many of you are there? He says, around, there's 14 of them. He says 14. If all of you are together in one area, and you scream, how many voices do I hear? Like just one. He says, but if all of you now are shared around this area and all of you scream, how many voices and how much more impact is there? It's like, yeah, it's a greater impact. 14 voices screaming the same thing from a distance, there's larger coverage. Like, yeah. When you go towards Perth, he says it's an obligation on you to attend the majalis, to make majalis, for the birth anniversaries and for the commemorations of the Ahlul Bayt. Through these is the pleasure of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. تِلْكَ الْمَجَالِسُ أُحِبُّهَا. By us together working on a shared goal, spreading, going our own whereabouts, doing our own thing, and sharing that with everyone will begin to make a huge impact. Inshallah, we'll continue this next week. But think of this week as an introduction, and inshallah, بحق فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام, we can take into action anything that was beneficial, if there was anything beneficial. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and not let us walk outside this building except that all our sins are forgiven. And for anyone that has watched or wishes to attend, may Allah grant them their wishes. May Allah forgive all our sins and give us the health. And Ya Rab, عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.